Hi everyone! My name's Colleen and I'm an educator at the St. Louis Art Museum. Welcome to Wee Wednesday. Today we're going to be talking about things that are big and things that are small. We'll start by reading a story together, then we'll be looking at some art from the museum's collection, and we'll end by making our own art together. Feel free to pause the video at any time if you'd like to get a closer look, if you'd like to talk about something with the people that you're with, or if you need to gather some art supplies. Are you ready? Let's get started. Today, we're going to be reading a story called Pezzettino. If you've joined me for Wee Wednesday before, you may know that when I read a new book, or even if it's a book that I've read before, I like to take a look at the cover to see if I can find out some things about the story before I read. Let's take a look at this cover together. What do you notice? I see a few different clues on this cover. I see a big creature here that is very colorful and looks like they're made out of lots of different colored squares. And I see another creature down here that's just made up of one square, but is also colorful. And it looks like they might even be talking to each other. What do you think the story might be about based on what we can see? Let's dive in. Pezzettino by Leo Lionni. His name was Pezzettino. There's a little note for us here that says, Pezzettino in Italian means little piece. It is pronounced Pezzettino. Let's say that together. Ready? Pezzettino. All the others were big and did daring and wonderful things. He was small and surely must be a little piece of somebody else, he thought. He often wondered whose little piece he could be, and one day he decided to find out. Excuse me, he asked the one who runs, am I perhaps your little piece? How could I possibly run if I had a piece missing? Said the one who runs, somewhat surprised. Have you ever wanted to do something but you couldn't because of your size? Maybe you wanted to climb a really tall tree or reach something on the top shelf? How did that make you feel? How do you think Pezzettino might feel? Let's keep going. Am I your little piece? He asked the strong one. How could I be strong if I had a piece missing? Was the answer. And when the swimming one came up to the surface, Pezzettino asked him too. How could I swim if I had a piece missing? Answered the swimming one, and he dove back into the deep water. What differences do you notice between Pezzettino and the other creatures? You up there! Shouted Pezzettino as he climbed toward the one on the mountain. Am I a little piece of yours? The one on the mountain laughed. Do you think I could climb mountains if I had a piece missing? Pezzettino asked the flying one too, but the answer was always the same. Based on what we've read in the story so far, what do you think the flying one said? Finally, Pezzettino went to the wise one who lived in a cave. Wise one, he said, am I a little piece of yours? Do you think I could be wise if I had a little piece missing? Answered the wise one. I must be someone's little piece, Pezzettino cried out. How can I find out? Go to the island of Wham, said the wise one. Early the next morning, Pezzettino took off in his little boat. Sometimes when I'm reading a story, I like to predict what's going to happen on the next page. What do you think is going to happen next? Let's find out. After a rough trip on the high sea, he arrived wet and tired on the island of Wham. How strange! The island was nothing but heaps of pebbles, not a tree, not a blade of grass, and above all, not a single living creature. What do you notice about the island? Pezzatino climbed up and down, until finally exhausted, he tripped, tumbled down, and broke into lots of little pieces. The wise one had been right. Pezzatino now knew that he too, like all the others, was made of little pieces. He picked himself up, and when he was sure there was not a single little piece missing, he ran back to his boat. What do you think Pezzatino is going to do next? He rode all night to get home as fast as he could. All his friends were waiting for him. "I am myself," he shouted, full of joy. His friends didn't quite understand what he meant, but Pezzatino seemed happy, and so they were happy too. What do you think Pezzatino meant when he said, "I am myself"? I think he means that he belongs to no one but himself, and he's happy being him. Just like Pezzatino, you're special too, just being you. What do you like about yourself? Maybe you could talk about that with the people that you're with. The end. I invite you to think about your favorite part of the story and talk about that with the people that you're with. We're going to travel to the museum now to look at some works of art. Let's imagine how we might get there. Are you going to take a teeny tiny Matchbox car? Or how about a giant cruise ship? Or are you going to take a regular sized taxi cab? So you decide. If you'd like, you can close your eyes and imagine yourself going. Woo! Ooh, that was a really long journey, but I'm really glad that we made it. In order to get ready to look at our works of art, we're going to be doing an experience I'm calling our Mindfulness Minute. Mindfulness is taking the time to slow down and really pay attention to what you're doing. In order to practice mindfulness today, we're going to be using a tool. Since we're talking about things that are different sizes today, you're going to need a small tool to help us be mindful today. So it could be a pebble or a rock, a Lego piece or a puzzle piece. I'm going to be using a small puzzle piece today. Anything will work. So you're going to hold your small item in your hands, and we're going to start by taking a big deep breath in through our nose and a big deep breath out through our mouths. Sometimes I think it's helpful to really make noise when you're breathing in and out so that we make sure that we get all that air in and out. Let's try that again. Big deep breath in through your nose and blow out that air. Ooh, that feels good. Now I want you to think about the object that you have in your hands, your small pezzatino, your little piece. So think about how that feels in your hand. Is it smooth? Is it rough? Is it heavy? Is it light? Let's take another big deep breath in while we think about how our pezzatino feels in our hands. Ready? Big deep breath in and out. Now think about the object that you have in your hand. How did it come to be in your home? What made you drawn to it? Does it bring up any special memories? Let's take another big deep breath in and out. If you'd like, you can turn the object in your hand and think about how it feels. Think about its shape and its size. Let's take one more big deep breath and a big blow out. I feel much more ready to look at some really amazing works of art. We're going to look at some works of art from the museum's collection together. If you'd like, you can scroll down on the page to get a closer look at the images we'll be viewing. Feel free to pause the video at any time to do this. Take a close look at this work of art. What do you see? What do you see that makes you say that? This is a pair of doors from Spain. They are most likely from a convent, which is a building that houses a community of people devoted to a religious life. These doors are almost 15 feet tall. That's taller than an elephant. Let's zoom in to get a closer look. What do you notice about the openings on this door? There is another set of smaller doors within this large set of doors. The small doors would have been used for everyday use, while the large ones would have only been opened for special occasions. Do you have things that you only do on special occasions? How do you think it would feel to walk through these grand doors? If you'd like, you can act out how you might walk if you were walking through these doors. I think I would march in with my head held high. Let's zoom in one last time. What new details can you see now that we have a closer look? What shapes can you find? This door's design was created using many small pieces of wood to create the larger design. Let's see how another work of art is made from small pieces to make the bigger whole. We're going to start by looking at this work of art from up close. What do you notice? What shapes and colors do you see? Let's zoom out to get a different perspective. What new things have you discovered now that we have a new view? Let's zoom out one last time to get the full view of this work of art. What do you see? This is a jaguar pectoral made by a Mixteca Puebla artist from Mexico. A pectoral is a type of necklace that would have been worn on the chest. This jaguar is only about as long as a pencil. Wearing a jaguar would signal the wearer's role as a warrior. What qualities of a jaguar do you think a warrior might want to have? Do you have special clothing items that make you feel strong and brave when you wear them? This pectoral was made using hundreds of pieces of greenstone combined with pieces of shell and bone to make the jaguar's teeth and claws. They were carefully arranged to create this detailed design. Now that we've looked at some works of art together, let's travel back home so we can make our own art. So hop in your tiny Matchbox car, or get in your giant cruise ship, or hail that taxi cab, and let's head home. For our art making project today, we are going to be making our own mosaics. A mosaic is a kind of art that's made by combining lots of little pieces together. So we're going to use a few different materials today. For our mosaics, I have a sheet of paper to work on, so you can use any kind of paper to put your mosaic on. I just have a blank sheet right here. I'm also going to need some materials to make my small pieces to create my mosaic. So I'm going to be using some paper today. So I have colored paper, I have paper from magazines, I have some tissue paper. So any kind of paper you have will work. And I've already cut up some in small pieces. I also was looking for some other small things that I could use for my art today. So these are some caps from food that I thought would be kind of interesting to attach. And I also looked in my kitchen and I found these lentils that I thought would be kind of fun to glue down. So you can get creative and think about using beans or pasta or other things that you might be able to use from your kitchen if your grown-up says it's okay. Or you can look in your backyard or on the sidewalk too for things like rocks or pebbles or things like that. And I also have some taper glue, some drawing materials. So I have crayons to use today, scissors if you have scissors, and then if you'd like a pencil or a pen. So to start, what we're going to do is think about what we might want to make our mosaic of. So I think I'm going to make a creature today. I was inspired by Pezzettino, the book that we read today, to kind of create my own creature. And also we saw some other animals in some of the art that we looked at today, the jaguar. So to start, I'm going to just make an outline of the creature that I want to create for my mosaic today. You don't have to do this, but if you can, you're welcome to. So I'm not going to make a particular animal today. I'm just going to kind of make my own, whatever kind of creature is popping into my head today. It's looking kind of like a dinosaur, but maybe it's a dinosaur today. I don't know. I wanted him to have a long neck. So there's going to be my outline, and then I'm going to put all of my small pieces inside. And I might add some other things on the outside, but this gives me a good outline so I know what to fill in. So I'm going to arrange all my pieces first, and then I'm going to glue them at the end. So I think I would like my creature today to be maybe blues and greens. So I have, these are some pieces that I cut out of my magazine paper, but I think I might need some more. That's the thing about mosaics, is you need a lot of little pieces to make your final product. So sometimes that can take a long time. So you can either use things that are already in small pieces, like the lentils or the caps that I found, or you can use paper and then create your own pieces. So I'm cutting my pieces into squares today, but you could cut them into circles or triangles or rectangles, any shape that you want. It doesn't matter. And you can do a combination of a lot of different shapes. And so I'm going to kind of even combine some of my strips of paper here and cut them up just so it doesn't take as long, so you can kind of get creative with how you make your little pieces here. And if you don't have a scissors, you can also just rip them, and that makes a different kind of piece. There, I might start arranging these in my dinosaur, and when you get your pieces here, you can always think about maybe changing the shape or cutting it into a different kind of shape once you kind of lay them out in your outline here. I think maybe I want to add some green too. And some of these are a little too big, so I might make them a little smaller. And remember, the best materials to use for this project are the ones that you already have. So don't worry about what you have. You can make mosaics out of so many different things. And I hope you're utilizing your treasure mail piles, or whenever you get all that junk mail, you can use a lot of those things to make art with. And today I'm going to be utilizing my kitchen a little bit, so that's another place to look for art materials if your grown-up says it's okay. So I just had this tiny little bit of lentils left. It wasn't really enough to cook with, so I thought, let's make my mosaic out of my lentils. So I'm just cutting and arranging all my little pieces onto my creature here. And what I like about not gluing them down first is then you can kind of make changes, you can kind of see, and then when you're all ready, you can glue it down so that you can kind of experiment, try some things out, move things around. But if you like to glue as you go, that's a great way to do it too. It's totally up to you. Artist's choice. So I've got all my blue pieces here. I think we just need a few more. I need a little bit for his tail, don't I? Yes, I do. Okay. So there's my creature that's filled in. Now I think we might need some other things. So I was thinking maybe you might want some plants, and I like these colorful caps that I found in my recycling bin, so I might create those into some flowers here. Maybe my creature is smelling them or is about to eat them, who knows. So I might use some of my other paper to add to it. So I've got this yellow tissue paper too, so that can kind of be some more pieces. And if you have big items that are plastic like that or rocks, it's probably best to either use maybe some liquid glue if you have that, or tape, because glue sticks sometimes don't work so well with really big items like that. So I might use tape to glue down those big caps. But with paper, glue or tape works just fine. I've got my little plants. And then I think maybe I might wait to put some glue down here, and I might sprinkle my lentils at the bottom here to kind of look like the ground. So I think I might be ready to glue down some of my pieces. There I have my mosaic from Repurposed Materials. Thank you for joining me today here at We Wednesday. We hope you had fun. I wanted to show you another example of a mosaic that I made. So here is the example that we made together. This is my creature mosaic that I made from paper and other kind of repurposed materials like caps and lentils that I found in my kitchen. And the second mosaic that I made is just a collection of shapes. So like with the first one that I made, I kind of drew out my design first. This one, I just cut some things up and kind of just pasted as I went. So there's lots of different ways to make mosaics and so many different materials that you can use. We would love to see your artwork, so please share them with us on social media. You can use the hashtags STLArtMuseum and We Wednesday. We hope to see you back here next week. Keep on creating. Bye.